Evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. It's Wednesday today, and we are back for another Confidence Convo. Welcome to our new segment. This is episode 8, where we discuss all things confidence for young adults. We will be live streaming and recording bi-weekly on Wednesdays on Facebook, YouTube, and your favorite podcast streaming platform. And this week, we will be diving into authenticity. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Davina Maria, and I am a master coach and founder of the Restore Yourself Method and host of Worthy Woman Facebook group. And I help women in their 30s reconnect with themselves and give up people-pleasing, procrastination, and perfectionism. You've probably noticed that I'm not in the studio with Joanna today, and we have a special guest who I'm so excited about. Shaima, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks, Davina. Hi, everyone. My name is Shaima. I am a manifestation coach and I work with women to manifest their epic lives. I work with them to manifest amazing relationships, amazing jobs, amazing careers, amazing businesses. And I also work with human design, which I have a feeling we will probably touch on today.
I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. So, Joanna and I got together to develop this for you because we are obsessed with all things personal development. And just to clarify, we are not perfect at being confident all of the time. Like you, we move through our struggles and overcome obstacles and mindsets to continuously improve. So, think of us as guides by your side. So, diving into our topic for today, um, I have my own kind of rough definition, but I'd love to know, Shaima, what you would define authenticity as.
Ooh, that's really interesting. I think authenticity for me is almost when I feel like I'm living in my true flowy self. So, for example, I know, Davina, we talked about kind of not necessarily having a strict script for this conversation. And I
Yeah.
really wanted it to be okay, I'm going to sit in my authenticity actually, and whatever you ask me, I'm going to respond from whatever comes from within me.
Mhm.
And that's what I feel authenticity to be. It's like what comes from you naturally. I'm not saying you can't have like a practiced thing and it still be authentic. It can, but for me, when I speak and if I try and censor myself or I get worried someone's going to take something the wrong way and I try and kind of tweak it,
Yeah.
you can tell in my voice, I think, and I can definitely tell. And I'm like, oh no, wait, this isn't my authentic self. So it's almost like tapping into that place within you that feels the most natural. What do you
I love
think?
that. I think I agree with you. And there's two words that you've used that I absolutely love, and one of them is censor. I think that is a really good word to use when you explain when you're not being authentic. If you feel like you're censoring yourself or um, yeah, just kind of if you've got any sort of filter in terms of you're not allowing your true self to shine through, I think that is a really good way of defining when you're not being authentic. And then another word you've used is natural. And I feel like that is really good as well because for me, when I feel like I'm being authentic, some of the words that kind of come to mind for me is being genuine,
Yeah.
being sincere, being transparent. And I feel like with this particular topic, I feel like my definitions are very much hinging on those sorts of words. And I think sometimes about, when you have really rare gems
Yeah.
and they have like a certificate of authenticity, and you have this bit of paper that says that it's genuine, it's real, and all the kind of details, the clarity and the cut and everything. I kind of think about that as well because we all have something amazing within us to give,
Yeah.
and it will only come out of us if we are real, natural, genuine, sincere, transparent, and authentic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely agree with your definition there, and I love how you phrase that. So I know that on our show we talk a lot about emotions, and we've spoken about imposter syndrome and different things like that. When it comes to being authentic, I think we've touched on it a little bit, but if we could dive a little bit deeper into it, when we talk about being authentic, why should we be authentic?
So, okay, I'm going to touch on human design now, which I had a feeling would come up pretty soon.
Yeah.
Human design is basically our true selves from when we were born, and it
Hmm.
talks about how energy works within the body, how we take
Yeah.
in energy from outside, and how we put energy out. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I've seen people work against their natural design and try
Hmm.
and fit into what society wants. So, for example, there's a type of design, and I know you're familiar with this, which needs a lot of rest.
Yeah.
So, if we ignore that and we try and go and work in an investment bank and we try and do, 18-hour days, and we just think, okay, this is what society wants, and I need to, do this career, and this is what whoever expects from me to do this,
Yeah.
it's just not going to work. And I've seen this happen so much. And as soon as we recognize what our authentic self is, either through human design, through whatever, when we recognize actually I do need rest. Okay, that's
Yeah.
just who I am. I need rest. I need my, 10 hours sleep, and that's just who I am. The permission it gives you just to live life
Hmm.
according to what's best for you then has a ripple effect, because once you're doing what's best for you, you're doing what's best for everyone around you as well. So I
Yeah.
just think it's so important to be authentic, because when we try and live unauthentically, and I've tried to do this, it's almost like putting on a persona, and it's just unsustainable. It's just going to burn you out.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. And as you said the word persona, I thought of a mask.
Yeah,
And I think you're right. It isn't sustainable. You can probably kind of be inauthentic for a period of time or with around certain people, but it isn't sustainable. And I actually feel like it doesn't it doesn't make us feel very good.
yeah,
So I don't think you can be inauthentic and feel good about yourself at the same time, because ultimately that it isn't actually you. And you mentioned working in investment banking, and if that's not you and you decided to take a job that really wasn't suited to you, A, it's not sustainable, and B, I don't think you'd be happy, or as happy as you could be,
yeah,
um, if you were, like you said, doing what is best for you.
yeah,
um, and I also feel like this kind of leads really nicely into when we talk about doing what's best for us. And I feel like it kind of links into knowing what's best for you. And I know a lot of people maybe struggle with actually knowing what they need and what's best for them at all times. But I feel like if you're inauthentic and you're living in a way that isn't genuine, I feel like that can actually affect your confidence and your trust in yourself.
yeah.
Um, so then I kind of start going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, because do you think authenticity comes first before you can be confident, or do you think you have to be confident before you can be authentic?
Ooh, that's a really interesting question. My instinct is probably saying a little bit of the latter,
Hmm.
because in order to be authentic, you've got to be all right to stand in your own truth. And it's not always going to be, in fact, it definitely won't be what everyone agrees with. Because, like I say, we're all different, we're all designed differently.
Yeah.
And if I asked 10 people for advice on something, I'm going to get 10 different answers. So I almost
Yeah.
have to be confident in myself, as you say, in knowing your own truth and knowing what's best for you.
Hmm.
And then I can be like, no, actually, I know what authenticity is for me. And even though you're doing something different and you're doing something
Yeah.
different, and actually, this person who I'm really close to who's getting annoyed by my authenticity sometimes because they're different,
Yeah.
I'm confident enough to know that's right for me. I do think that comes with time. I do think that comes sometimes with maturity. Definitely, if I look back to where I was 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been so bold as to say, no, you know what? Even if you don't agree with me, I'm going to do me.
Yeah.
Because so I do think some of it comes with time. But yeah, I would say probably the confidence comes first. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think I agree with you, because well, there's a part of me that thinks that they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah,
There is a part of me that thinks that. However, I agree with you in the sense that confidence is the starting point, and having the trust within yourself is where you can then build on knowing what you want, knowing what you need, and then be able to express that in an authentic way and actually be yourself because you have the foundation of the confidence to kind of lean back on. Because I feel like, sometimes as well when we're truly authentic, it doesn't remove sort of like the fear of someone judging us or the fear of being rejected to a certain degree.
yeah,
And I think that's where you really have to lean on your confidence and think, do you know what, I trust myself and I know that I'll be okay regardless.
yeah,
Therefore I'm going to be authentic and I'm going to say what I need to say or do what I need to do. And if anyone feels that it's not the right decision, that's okay,
yeah,
because I already had that confidence and that trust in myself that I know that I can deal with whatever comes up, whatever emotions come up, or whatever fears come up, that I might be rejected or, someone might be displeased with what I'm doing.
yeah.
But I'm moving forward anyway because I'm confident. And I suppose maybe the part of me that feels that they're linked maybe feels a little bit like being authentic is an expression of confidence.
Ooh, yes. I love that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's how you express. I think maybe, yeah, your authentic self is your expression of your confidence.
Yes. I think you've just got me thinking it's authentic confidence as well. It's the confidence that comes from self development and from self
Yeah,
inspection and really knowing yourself. It's not any kind of fake confidence. It's not, oh my God, I've got it. It's an authentic confidence, which then leads to authenticity. So, yeah, I think they're very intertwined.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. That's just opened a whole thing in my mind now. So speaking of, I know we've touched on confidence and we've touched on a lot of different things, but if someone came to you and said, I'd love to be more authentic and I feel I have a certain level of confidence and I feel like I can do it, um, what sort of tips and tricks do you think you would give someone on how they can be more authentic?
I think self awareness and self knowledge is key.
Hmm.
And I know we've got a different kind of modalities which can work with that and which can show someone how to really get to know themselves. But again, part of it just comes with time and with experiences and with knowing what
Yeah,
didn't work for you and knowing what does work for you.
yeah.
I know I've been in sort of consulting type roles in the past, and I just know they're not for me. So I know
Mm,
that's part of my authenticity. They just never will be. I can try and force myself into that bracket, but they just never will be. So I
yeah,
think, and again, that's where the confidence comes in, right? Because it's like some people who I've seen, I think, know that or are worried that it almost means something about them if they don't do something or if they choose a different path or if they make the
yeah,
decision to say, for example, I'm not going to work in consulting because that's not for me. They think, oh, does that mean I'm not good enough? And it's knowing that no,
yeah,
again, it's just your authentic self doesn't gel with that particular thing. And there will be millions of people for whom it does, but you are probably your authentic self is over here doing something completely different. So I think
yeah,
it's self knowledge, it's self awareness, and it's working that out in all areas of life, right? I mean, I've used the job example quite a lot, but it's with relationships as well, romantic relationships, knowing the people whom you connect with, friendships,
mm,
even lifestyle, as I've mentioned, sleep before, and knowing, for example, there's the 5 different human needs that Tony Robbins talks about. So it's knowing, for example, how
yeah,
much certainty you need in your life, how much variation. So yeah, I've talked quite a lot, but I think the core of what I'm saying is basically self awareness and self knowledge.
yeah. I think self-awareness is definitely on the list for me. And I think as part of self-awareness, I think it kind of comes under the self-awareness umbrella, is sort of like tapping into your body and As women, I feel like we're really strong in our intuition as long as we
Yeah.
kind of nurture it and we pay attention to how we kind of feel. And sometimes, our intuition will tell us that something is not right, and there's no logical explanation for it, but we know that it's not right.
Yeah.
And I think it does come under the self-awareness umbrella, particularly for women. I mean, men have intuition as well, but I feel like it's stronger in women, and I feel like being able to kind of nurture your intuition and allow it to guide you to a certain degree, and not make sense of everything that you feel, but just again, I suppose maybe it's also linked to the confidence piece, where you're confident that you can trust your intuition. Therefore, if it tells you something is off, you're like, do you know what, something is off, I don't need to know why, I just need to kind of change my direction a little bit.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you about self-awareness. I think so many things start with self-awareness.
Yeah.
um, and I also feel like, I think we've mentioned this before in previous episodes, but I also feel like something that comes up for me on how to be more authentic is self-compassion. I
Yes.
feel like, being authentic can sometimes be really scary.
Yeah.
And, for people that feel confident and comfortable um, to just be authentic all the time, and, they are a bit more comfortable with it. And I feel like it's a muscle that they've developed.
Yeah.
And I feel like for someone who's just starting out, um, you will probably get it wrong at times. And I feel like that's okay, because you're learning, you're working on your self-awareness, and you're definitely, learning about yourself as you go on the journey. But I also feel like self-compassion has to come in, because yeah, some of these things are really difficult, and I know we talk about them and we laugh and we joke, and it's a conversation. But I think for when you're first starting out, I think it can be really really tricky.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's degrees as well, right? You've just got me thinking, because authenticity can start with a little step of showing
Hmm.
someone, actually, this is who I am. And for example,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this pattern of working because that, and then there's a whole, actually, let's say, I'm going to use a very dramatic example now, but let's say, somebody decides that they are going to change gender.
Hmm.
That's, of course, completely stepping into your authenticity, but that's a very different level to changing your working hours, right? So,
100%.
and I think what you said about getting it wrong is really interesting, because my advice would be, if someone wants to take that huge and incredible authentic step, I think would be, as much as you can, do it in stages. So
Mm,
show somebody a little bit
yes.
here and then a little bit here, because otherwise, if we kind of jump to that, and as you spoke about earlier, rejection or getting judgment or something, it can be quite traumatic for people.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And yeah, I love how you've said to go in stages, because
Yeah.
I feel like, again, it kind of links back into self-awareness, but kind of knowing what level you're on, and how much you can emotionally kind of maintain within that level. And then knowing that, okay, I'm not going to move to like the next level until I feel like I'm a bit more confident to deal with whatever comes next. Because
Yeah.
yeah, you're right, there are stages and there are levels, and I suppose we're all on a journey to being more authentic,
Yeah.
and no one is perfectly there. So everyone starts on a level, and we all kind of move up the ranks and go through our stages towards, well, I don't want to use the word perfection because it doesn't exist, but we go towards a place of being super comfortable with ourselves and comfortable expressing ourselves. So yeah, I really like that. I like the go in stages thing, because I feel like, yeah, that's also giving you permission to take it at your pace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to
Definitely.
be as authentic as someone else. You just have to be as authentic as you can be at that time.
At that time. And it might vary, right? There might be people with whom you can be 100% authentic from the get go.
Yeah.
And there might be other people who you just sense. You spoke about intuition. Your intuition says just maybe take it in stages, don't
Yeah.
go too far too soon. So it could vary as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. And it's been so great chatting with you on this super important topic. I actually feel like we could kind of dive into this so much more.
Yeah.
But as we kind of wrap up, we will definitely be back in 2 weeks' time. And I just want to thank you, Shaima, for being with me today. It's been so lovely to have you,
Thank
and I've
you.
absolutely loved this episode. So, for more information on who we are, what we do, and our love of all things confidence and self development, you can find or follow us from our social media information, which we will post below in the comments. And if you've liked what you've heard, feel free to like, share, or subscribe. And like I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Thank you again, Shama. It's been so lovely having you
Thank
today.
you. Thank you for having me. Bye.